Welcome back. This is part 2 of Season 7 review. Unfortunately, my first video was really long, longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to try and make this one pretty short and sweet. As we know, it's 1 week away from Season 7 returning, so this is just a review over the last 3 episodes we had toward the end, which was Power of 3, the Angels Take Manhattan, and the Snowmen. So we're just going to briefly go over those 3 just to get everyone caught up. I'm going to try not to make this very long because I don't want to take up any more time than I need to for you people. But I want you guys to enjoy this as much as I am. I love talking about the stuff with you guys. So, alright, here we go. So, after we left the town of Mercy, the pawns get dropped off again. They keep going back to their normal. They want to keep going back to their normal life, and this time, normal life definitely got a hold of them and got a hold of them real good. They, were able to keep a job and keep commitments, and because the doctor just wasn't really bugging them for a while, and then all of a sudden, overnight, these black boxes show up, and they pretty much, for the most part, people took them for granted. As actually, no, first when they got there, people were pretty freaked out, which is the first human reaction is to freak out. And then after about a month or so, people started to accept them and think they were really just nothing, to the point where people were treating them like toys and stacking them and playing with them and just doing whatever. Then finally, after a long time of investigating about them, that's when they start to really show their true form. In fact, the doctor actually stayed with the pawns for that extended period because he wanted to see what was going to happen. He even had Brian Williams, which is Rory's dad, to pretty much keep a video blog of everyday journal of what this thing would do, and it just didn't do anything for a long time. But that's because it was basically waiting for everyone to kind of drop their guard. As soon as everyone dropped their guard, that's when everything, imploded pretty much. That's when all the cubes started attacking people, having spikes, shooting fire. Some were less lethal than others, but they were all pretty bad. And we come to find out it was they were sent there by this guy, Sharaki. It's spelled Shakri. Sharky. Anyway, point is, this guy sent them to monitor the human race because he wants to destroy us, because he thinks us as a weak plague that will eventually, just pretty much destroy the universe if we get out there. So he wants to destroy us when we're pretty much at our lowest, pretty much. Kick us while we're down. But actually, the 2 things that we got to see in this episode that were really cool was we got to see Unit again, and we got to meet Brigadier's daughter, Kate Stewart. Because unfortunately, Brigadier was no longer around, so we got her instead, which was really nice. We got to meet her. She was really lovely. So I have to admit, when they first pulled up, you had to admit that you probably were hoping it was Torchwood. I bet. I know I was. When I first saw the Land Rovers pulling up, I was like, yay, we're going to see Captain Jack, and, no. No, it wasn't Torchwood, it was Unit. So, but anyway, it was a very mysterious episode, to say the least. We still don't know too much about this guy, because he kind of, flies off and kind of tucks his tail, and not really tucks his tail, but he kind of just, disappears, and still a lot of questions about that. So now on to Angels Take Manhattan. We see that the pawns have decided to take a holiday to New York. Well, at the same time that they're taking a holiday, this poor man by the name of Sam Garner, he is being terrorized in 1930 by the Weeping Angels. We see him pretty much running for his life, running away from something. We think it's something pretty big and bad, and it turns out to be the Weeping Angels. And he runs into the hotel, trying to escape them, but only runs into himself, an older version of himself, because the angels get a hold of him. They block off his entrance, his entrance and his exit, and they get him. And he dies of an old age outside of his timeline, and it sucks. And then back in present day New York, the Pawns are trying to have a nice day with the doctor, and they're reading a book written by Melody Malone, who we come to find out later is River and Amy. But obviously we don't know that at first when they first start out. And when Rory goes to get the coffee, he gets picked up by River, taken back to the 1930s, and they have to deal with this thug, Grail, pretty much, and he thinks it's fun to capture. He thinks it's funny to capture a weeping angel for his own sick, twisted pleasure, and also he thinks it's powerful, some way of getting some power over him, and it really doesn't. All it does is just pisses them off more, and puts everybody in more and more danger. So Amy and the doctor have to figure out how to get into that time period, because they make several attempts, and it takes them a while to get through the time vortex craziness that the Weeping Angels have created. And so finally, when they break through, they get to where Rory and River are, which are they're pretty much being held hostage by this thug, and though he gets his own up and comings when the angels get a hold of him and kill him for what he did to them. And again, third time here that the doctor doesn't do anything to stop it, because again, more people that he just doesn't feel are needing to be saved or can be saved or whatever. And then we come to find out the only way to break the time. We find out that Rory gets hit by the Weeping Angels the same way Sam Gardner does, because we see an older Rory in the bed in that hotel, and it's heartbreaking to see him that fragile and been alone that entire time, without Amy or the doctor or anybody. And so Rory has this idea of the only way to break the time loop is by breaking his own death. Instead of dying, in the way that the Weeping Angels designed him for, to die in his own way. So he and Amy take what's called a lover's leap off of that building, and basically that's the only way that they were able to break the time loop. Now, though, when they wind up in the graveyard after all that, they still get taken by a Weeping Angel anyways. And oddly enough, the Weeping Angel that takes them oddly resembles Angel Bob from season 5, and I think that was kind of a weird coincidence, or if it was done on purpose. We'll never know, I guess. So the Pawns are gone. They're in a new time period, and they're supposedly stuck there. But I'm sorry, but I see so many loopholes around it. It's ridiculous. Like, they can go the next state over, or Captain Jack can get them with his time his time manipulator thing, or the 10th Doctor can get them, or the first Doctor can get them. So it's not impossible for them to leave. So, but anyway, that's the end of that one. And of course, obviously, the Doctor is depressed and upset that what's happened to his friends, and he's lost pretty much his family that he's been working for so long. And so when we get the Snowmen, we see him very, very dark, very depressed, and pretty much having a pity party up in the clouds. He's put his TARDIS up there so no one can find him, no one can see him. Um, and the Snowman episode pretty much opens up with a little boy in the garden with a bunch of other kids, but he's pretty much by himself because he's antisocial. He doesn't like anybody, and all of his emotions go into the snow that's in front of the snowman that's in front of him, and ends up reflecting everything back at him, telling him that he doesn't need them, that he's better off alone. And then he grows up into Dr. Simon, who is played by Richard E. Grant. And all this is taking place during 1892 in London. And really, I didn't do a video by itself for this one just because I didn't feel it necessary. Because it's a pretty easy one. There's not too many crazy Moffat things going on. It's pretty simplistic. Probably one of the most simplistic one we've had in a while. So I didn't think it really needed a video. If it needs a video, if you want one, I will do one, but I don't think it's necessary. Also, I did my Clara video not too long ago, and I mentioned a lot of stuff in that one. But anyway, the premise basically is, we meet Clara, who is our new companion. She's a barmaid. She's helping tend tables there, and she's also a governess to Captain Latimer as well. So she's got pretty much a full-time job as a governess, and then she worked the one night as I think she was picking up a shift for somebody who needed help, and she was just helping out during that time. But anyway, when she meets the doctor, her reaction is pretty cool. She, is so intrigued by him that she actually runs down his carriage. And that's really saying something about her because, most people in that day and age wouldn't do that kind of behavior. And she just, I don't know, she's a firecracker. She's probably our first brunette in a while, and she is, oh my god, she's so flirty, and she's so funny, and she's so witty, and I think she's awesome. But unfortunately, she does end up dying because the old governess who died in the pond, she pulls her, down with her from where the TARDIS was up in the clouds, and that caused her to pretty much crush every bone in her body because the fall just was so long and so hard on her. But before she died, she did mention the two lines that she did in Silent on the Dog, which was "You clever boy" and "Remember me." So those two lines, they reoccur. And because they reoccurred, he put two and two together, and he's like, he realizes that Clara and Osmond are the same person, or they seem to be the same person. And so this, causes a bunch of questions, and that pretty much ends the episode there, with her death, and then him wanting to go out and find out who she is. And we stay at the end with, her headstone, her name, and her death, being around that time period, and just now he's going to be looking to find out who she is again, and so that should be fun. I'm really looking forward to part 2 of season 7 to see where this is going to pick up and what's going to happen next. So yeah, so this is the end of this video. I hope everyone is having a great weekend. If you want to know more, just check out my previous videos. I've got I can even maybe refresh them up and re-upload them for you guys if you want. If not, I can just give you the links for those. So yeah, so I hope everyone's having a great weekend, and I will see you very soon. All right, bye.